Hello guys and gals and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over another one of the Mythic Uniques. That's right, they changed the name to Mythic Uniques. And they did so obviously because they wanted this. They wanted like a special color. I think Uber Unique was a good name. I don't really like Mythic Unique. I think it's too much of a callback to WoW. Uber was more fitting, in my opinion, to Diablo 4 and Diablo 2 and Diablo 1 and Diablo 3 and whatever other Diablos you want to say. Honestly, I think Mythic just doesn't really fit in the universe, but that's just my opinion. Now, Mythic Uniques, which is the new unique, can be obtained in a various number of ways. You can, of course, obtain them through the Ubers, like Uber Duriel and Uber and Dariel. And you can also get them now from all of the Tormented bosses, like Tormented Grigore, Tormented Lord Zir, Tormented Beast in the Ice, and Tormented... you're missing one, Varshan. I don't really recommend Varshan. He's kind of a pain in the butt. His HP seems to be bugged. But all the rest of them are kind of easy. As well as, of course, you can get them from Tormented, Duriel, and Dariel. Another way that you can obtain these is to find them randomly throughout the world, which has actually been happening a lot more lately since they bumped up the percentage. And you can also, of course, obtain them by crafting them by using the special material of Resplendent Sparks. Now, you can get one Resplendent Spark for killing Lilith for the season, and you can also get another Resplendent Spark for killing the Tormented boss, at least one Tormented boss this season, which will get you two. You can also get another one from the Reputation quest. If you haven't done the Reputation quest for this season, it is in Zarbanzet. And in Zarbanzet, you just need to talk to Estelle, the Mother's Triune, and set that up. And once you complete that and you get the final box, you will get a Resplendent Spark, which, of course, you can add to your running total. You can, of course, complete the Resplendent Spark chest in that Reputation quest for each character. So every single character that you make, you can get another Resplendent Spark. So that means that if you make 4 characters, you can easily get yourself a single Uber Unique, whichever one that you want. Mythic Unique. I'm going to have a hard time switching over to that name. Now, the Melted Heart of Selig is one of the best Uber Uniques, in my opinion, and it really just has to do with the fact that it is a absolutely crazy unique in the way that it functions. A lot of people really poo-pooed on this. Maxroll ranked it as a D rank for the longest time, which I don't really even understand because the first time I saw this thing, I was like, this thing is insane. They actually had to nerf it from previous versions because it was so broken, which makes the D rank at Maxroll even more hilarious in my opinion. But basically what they did to this in the newest patch is they changed it even further from its previous version, and it's even more overpowered at this point. So first off, we have the initial change, which is it gives 30 to all resistances. Now, most amulets don't give 30 to all resistances. As you can see here, I have an amulet that is level 925, and it only gives 25. So we're getting a 30% all res from this immediately. 5% more than you would normally, and on top of that, it also gives you a 3 to your max as well. So if you take a look at my resistances, you'll see my resistances aren't really all that great. When I throw this on, now I'm at a lot higher, and as you can see, now I'm at 73%, which is 3% higher than the normal 70% cap, which is amazing. So that first change right there has definitely bumped up Melted Heart of Selig's defensive capability quite a bit, because having a 70% cap on your resistances has always kind of held you back a little bit in damage reduction, and being able to bump that up even 3% is massive in the end game. We also have Lucky Hit Chance on here, and as you can see, I've already masterworked this one tier, so it's a little bit higher than normal, but 15.8%, 26.2% movement speed, which is really nice, 15.8% damage reduction while healthy, which does mean that your HP has to stay above 80%, which is actually really good to use with barriers and things like that, because in general your HP doesn't tend to drop if you're using barriers. On top of that, the special effect of this item also changes that as well. Melted Heart of Selig also has a 15.8% resource generation, which actually affects a lot more than you think, not just your basic skills, but also like abilities that grant you resource in many different forms can also be affected by this to increase the amount that they're granting you. And there's a lot of different abilities in the game that will grant you resource. On top of this, we have the meat and potatoes of the way that this ability works. This special Mythic Unique is that you gain 60 maximum resource, which is already huge. 60 maximum resource is a lot of multiplier, depending on what kind of character you're running. You could be running a rogue with the Beastfall boots that allow you to dump all of your resource into a core skill. You could be running a Ramaladi's Magnum Opus Barbarian, which allows you to scale damage based on your maximum resource. Maybe you're running a Bone Spirit Necromancer or a Bone Spear Necromancer, which also scale everything based on their maximum resource. And there's a lot of different ways you can scale based on your maximum resource these days. And even the Sorceress has a few ways that she can get additional damage or additional effects by casting abilities above 100 resource, which something like this would allow you to have 160, which means it would be a lot easier to obtain that extra bonus because you would have a higher max. But not only does it give you 60 maximum resource, but on top of that, it also gives you basically what is the equivalent of Energy Shield from Diablo 2. If you were unfamiliar with the way that Energy Shield worked in Diablo 2, it was very simple. And when you cast Energy Shield, any damage that would come in and hit you would get transferred to your energy, your mana, instead of your HP. And the energy shield had a varying level of, success, like anywhere between like 50 to maybe even like 95% reduction. And basically what that means is that, say for instance, you had a hit that came in that would dish out a pretty large amount of damage. So let's say like, somebody comes in and they hit you for, say, 20,000 damage. Well, the 20,000 damage is going to be reduced by 75% in this particular case with the Melted Heart of Selig at 75%, which is going to reduce that hit down to 5,000. Now, because this is really kind of like going to your resource pool, and as you can see here, it says draining 2 resource for every 1% of maximum life you would have lost. And this allows you to treat your energy pool as a form of extra HP. Now, of course, there's tons of ways to generate resource. You can generate resource through your basic skills, through abilities. You can generate resource through items, like specific items, like maybe you're using the, I think the Eagle Horn bow or is the Sky Hunter, and has like the really nice 60 resource returned. And as long as this is full, it's going to act as an extension of your HP, giving you a lot more hit points than you would normally. And on top of that, not only that, but you can, of course, increase this pool to a much larger amount. So in this particular term where it says 75% is drained as 2 resource for every 1% of maximum life you would have lost, which means that if you just take this, like verbatim, you can just simply multiply it out, right? So 2 times 100 means that 200 maximum resource is essentially the equivalent of the same amount of your HP bar, which means that as long as your maximum resource bar has exceeded 200, you are now bumping your HP up beyond double. So beyond double. And this, of course, gets you most of the way to 200 all on its own. With that 60 that it's giving you and the base 100 that you normally have, you're going to be at 160, and you only need to get a meager 40 more to reach the 200 point so that you're literally doubling your hit points. Now, 75% of the damage does means that 25% of it still gets through, though. So 25% of it is still going to hit your HP, and you're still going to have to deal with it. Now, another thing I also noticed is that Melted Heart of Selig doesn't really seem to block damage over time. Which is something that you will need to be aware of. So if you're in a dungeon and you're standing in a poison puddle, it's going to like burn straight through the Melted Heart of Selig, and I've seen it happen many, many times. But Melted Heart of Selig will make you extraordinarily tanky. You will feel it, especially if you are a specific character that scales based on maximum resource. It's it's such a nice amulet for early on too, because the maximum resource makes it a lot easier for you to spam your core skills. Gives you a huge amount of resource regen, and the movement speed is really nice as well. Plus the all resistances makes it a hell of a lot easier to hit your caps that you'd really like to hit. All in all, I would definitely rank Melted Heart of Selig as one of the top Mythic Uniques in the category. If you ever get one of these, especially if you get one with greater affixes, you are definitely in the money, and there are a lot of fun builds that you can use to potentially take advantage of this item. I have taken advantage of it on quite a few characters, like my Flay Barbarian that does basic damage. In fact, basic characters love this amulet in general because it acts as a huge damage reduction for them, because you end up with just massive amounts of extra HP. And of course, as a basic skill character, you generally have no problem keeping your resource full because, of course, you're spamming your basic skill, which makes it extremely easy to stay alive. Honestly, I think when the first time I got one of these and I put it on my character, I was absolutely surprised at just how powerful it was. It used to be 100%, and now it's only 75, which it kind of needed the nerf, to be perfectly honest. Um, it does have some flavor text here, which says, "Do not allow your passions to become obsessions. Fuel the fire that burns within you, but it is madness to allow yourself to become ash to please an uncaring universe." The last words of Master Selig. Whether you're using this for a barbarian, whether you're using it for a rogue, whether you're using it for a necromancer, whether you're using this on your sorcerer or other basic builds, honestly, I think you will be absolutely surprised with how powerful this particular unique is, especially not only defensively, but also offensively if you're scaling based on maximum resource. Because that 60 maximum resource can become quite a large amount of multiplier in the hands of a person who scales based on maximum resource. Like, for instance, take the Bone Spirit Necromancer. The Bone Spirit Necromancer gets a massive multiplier for every single point of resource that they have. Over, I think, 50. And 60 ends up being like, I think it's like 240% multiplier for them for Bone Spirit, which is just insane. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just talking about the Mythic Uniques and the changes that they've made to them. And as always, keep watching.